When it comes to Kakashi, it's never too much. He is undoubtedly the man who earned several nicknames over the years, from the Bloody Friend Killer to even the sixth Hokage. But there is one title that marked his life: the Copy Ninja. He has the reputation of being the man who copied more than 1,000 techniques, and it's a fact that he used the most jutsus throughout the series. But what are the jutsus in his arsenal that he doesn't use? And why does he leave these techniques aside? Let's take a look now. We can talk about Naruto, Sasuke, Guy, anything we want, but we can't escape Kakashi. Sooner or later, we always come back to him. Kakashi is one of the few characters in the series who was capable of using all 5 natural elements in his techniques. Do you know who else did that? Madara Uchiha, Nagato, Hashirama, Hagoromo. Just the great ones. His affinity was always with lightning, but Kakashi's genius created this almost unique condition for him, and it's amazing to see how he can use this gift in battle thanks to the Sharingan. If you fight against Kakashi and have a jutsu of any element, the chances that he'll copy that ability and defeat you are high, and everything he copied, he can use. So, Kakashi's experience weighs heavily in combat. Well, he copied over 1,000 techniques, so I'm going to talk about 9 of them that he created, acquired or copied, and that were once part of his options. Many of these jutsus would still be useful today in Boruto, but none of them are as powerful as you might think. Before continuing, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss any of our content. Let's start with something easy. The 8 Gates technique. Yes, Kakashi can use this technique, the same one that Lee and Guy used throughout the series. It's not exclusive to them. Kakashi worked hard, trained hard, and figured out how to unlock this power, boosting his physical strength to achieve feats that would be impossible otherwise. If you know the gates, you know that the side effects of this technique are hard to deal with, and since Kakashi is Kakashi, he won't risk using such a dangerous ability. Besides, Kakashi has shown that he can only open one of the 8 gates, and the real advantage of this technique is to go beyond and open more gates to gain even more powerful boosts. So, he prefers to save this technique, avoiding the risk. Sharingan Genjutsu. People underestimate the power of genjutsus that aren't made with the Sharingan. Kakashi always had that eye capable of casting illusions on his opponents, from a minor distraction to paralyzing them. And well, this power was once part of Kakashi's arsenal, but no longer. Without the Sharingan, no Sharingan Genjutsu. However, I always thought Kakashi used this ability sparingly. It could have been used more, but he chose to set it aside. Raikiri and Chidori. These 2 techniques were created by Kakashi, forged and patented when he was still a kid. The difference between them is almost none. The Chidori was created to pierce the defense of any enemy at super speed, and Kakashi used his lightning affinity to the max. But the technique was incomplete, and only Obito's Sharingan provided the perception necessary for the jutsu to be viable and lethal. The Raikiri came shortly after, being a more concentrated version of the Chidori. And since Kakashi lost the Sharingan at the end of Shippuden, this jutsu became incomplete again. So, it's safe to say that this technique lost all its functionality for Kakashi. Rasengan, the most iconic offensive jutsu of the series, was created by Kakashi's team leader Minato. Of course, Kakashi learned how to perform this technique. After all, he's a genius. In fact, Kakashi's plan was to add the lightning release to the Rasengan and create a more powerful technique. But that was impossible, so Kakashi decided to create another jutsu. Since Kakashi is more attuned to lightning, he preferred using Raikiri in battles. Konoha's secret finger jutsu, 1,000 years of death. Who remembers the finger jab Naruto received? This jutsu is practically a meme, and its use in combat is almost useless. If Kakashi wanted to humiliate the enemy, it might be interesting. Actually, Naruto used this technique more times than Kakashi, believe it? And one of those times was against none other than Gaara, replacing the finger with a kunai, with an explosive tag. Anyway, it's clear that Kakashi abandoned this secret technique. Dynamic entry. Thanks to Sasuke, we discovered that the Sharingan can copy more than just ninjutsu or genjutsu. Rock Lee's exclusive taijutsu ability was partially replicated during the Chunin exams. And you really think Kakashi didn't take the opportunity to copy Guy's dynamic entry? Of course he did. And he can use this fighting style just like Guy. It ends up being useful in battle. But since Kakashi has various ways of dealing with enemies from a distance, he ended up leaving this skill aside, even though it's quite useful. Genjutsu, Hell Vision technique. Remember the survival test? Kakashi was showing Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura that they needed much more training to surpass a Jonin, while Kakashi defeated Naruto with Taijutsu and immobilized Sasuke with Genjutsu. Sakura was the target of this technique, where he places the target in an illusion and the most terrifying experience happens. In Sakura's case, it was seeing Sasuke on the brink of death, and this vision was strong enough to make Sakura faint. The range of this technique is low, being a rank D technique, so it shouldn't work on the ninjas Kakashi usually faces, which makes it clear why he doesn't use it. Ice Release, Albino Narwhal. This technique only appeared in the first movie, In the Land of Snow, so it's easy to say this ability is non-canon, just filler. That's why Kakashi doesn't use this jutsu. But it's curious to note that Kakashi copied an ice element technique, or rather a Kekkei Genkai. Kakashi said he couldn't copy ice when facing Haku. So is there a plot hole? Well, there isn't, because this technique is just a water release, not ice. Or rather, Kakashi used the ice around him to create a horned whale, unlike Haku, who could create ice directly from water. Water Release, Water Dragon Technique. A classic. Kakashi copied this jutsu from Zabuza in the Land of Waves arc and used it several times in the series. This technique doesn't require water to be created, but it's much more powerful if the user doesn't have to create the water, meaning it's situational. That's why Kakashi doesn't use this technique in every fight. Shadow Clone Technique. I said that the Rasengan is the most iconic offensive jutsu of the series, but by far the most iconic jutsu of all is the Shadow Clone Technique. And yes, Kakashi can use this technique. But one problem with this technique is that it divides the user's chakra. And when I say little chakra, Kakashi starts to sweat. However, he can use this ability more frequently today in Boruto, precisely because he no longer has the Sharingan, which constantly drained Kakashi's chakra even when the eye was covered. But why use the Shadow Clone when Kakashi's place now is to relax in the hot springs of the Land of Fire?